Welcome or welcome back, everybody, to another exciting episode of Aaron's Opinion, the podcast for blind people, where we speak about critical issues in the blindness community and all other issues from across the universe and galaxy. Tamer Zaid joins us again, his second time on the podcast, a repeat offender here. We're glad to have him in the Aaron's Opinion family again for his second installment. And Tamer, you came to the show many years ago, and we will certainly be creating a playlist now that will include your first appearance on the show, and then it will include this appearance on the show, and then you'll be able to share both of these episodes and both of these videos. So in one sentence, here's where I want to go with this. In one sentence, I want you to remind people who you are in one sentence, and then I'll ask something else. So who are you just in one sentence to kind of refresh our memory? Go.
So I'm Tamer Zaid, a new author that released his autobiography, Blind War. I come from the Middle East. I was born here in America, but I lived my childhood in Palestine in the Middle East, and I was faced with war over there. As a kid, I did enjoy my life over there, but there was all the struggles dealing with the war. So I, when I was living there with my family, and I became sick, and I returned to America for treatment. That's when everything unfolded. I had to face the reality of having cancer, and the rest is history. So from the time I came to America, I had to really understand who I am, understand the struggles that I was facing, and at the same time deal with uncertainty, discrimination, and just trouble realizing what was going on with me. So I was fortunate to realize who I am, come to my awareness, and realize who I am, what I can do to change this, and become the person I wanted to become. That person is Tamer Zaid, that has confidence, that has faith in his life, a person that has self-worth, and at the same time realize that my struggles that I went through was because of my brain injury, not my blindness. But this is a outgoing war that I'm facing internally, and that is what I'm working on right now, to change that perspective, to make everybody around me respect who I am as a person. So that's why I came to my conscience to write my book and share my story, so that if anybody else is facing this issue, they would know what they would know what to do. So in a way, it's about blindness, but in another way, it's about multiple disabilities. But we need to we need to realize what struggles we go through and be thankful for who we are. Because all I want to say is, yes, you go through struggles, but you need to realize what you're going through so that you can come up with a solution. And, my story talks about that. Every hardship I faced, I had to come up with a solution to determine that I can do this. Um, so in a shell, that's what my book is about.
I love it. That's so good. Absolutely. There's a lot to be said. And as you were speaking, I recalled in my podcaster heart, I kind of remember the conversation vaguely, how you talked about your traumatic brain injury and everything you went through. And please please refresh my memory. So
Mhm.
if you don't mind me asking, which I don't think you do, so what cancer did you have? Was it a brain issue or,
So
yeah.
what I had is leukemia,
Okay,
and
so the cancer was the leukemia part. Yeah, I vaguely do remember that. The cancer was the leukemia part, right? And then when and where did the traumatic brain injury happen? I do know
so
you, yeah.
I was fortunate to have an American citizen. So my dad was here. I
Right.
came here, and I was taken to MD Anderson, which is a child cancer hospital here in Houston,
Mm-hmm.
where I got, treated. I had leukemia, but in the same time, I fell in a coma for a month and a half.
Oh, that's
And,
right. Yeah.
what happened was, the doctors told my parents that I'm not going to survive, but I did. And during the coma, I did have hemorrhages that caused my brain to get defected. And that's basically what is causing all you know, the issues with me. But, what I want to say is, yes, I have this problem, but I am able to understand now what happened and, come up with a solution where I can grow and thrive. And, my book, or here soon, my platform, I want to encourage anyone with a disability to not give up, not say you cannot do this. Everybody has purpose. Everybody has a way to shine. And my platform, I want to focus on, you know, making everyone feel respected, feel as if they have, something in this world that they can say, yes, I did this, um, and be proud of what they're doing. Because, living life since I had, my brain injury and the coma, I was facing uncertainty. I was facing issues with getting employment. But here I am on the other side, and I would say that everyone has a voice. Everyone has a place on this earth that they can, you know, basically be somebody respected. So, that's my message.
And I support it. Absolutely. Yeah, no, I remember all that now. It's coming back to me, all those things. So, you know, which is why the art of podcasting, as you know, and YouTube and creating these episodes are fascinating, because it helps us to look back on history and to
Correct, correct,
uncover and dust stuff off and say, oh, well, let's go back to that. Let's remember together. And that's the power of it.
correct.
So
It's
with your book,
go
by
ahead.
the way, sure, thank you, no worries. So with your book, I think I asked you this in the past, so I'm going to ask you again. So is your book, though, is it available on Audible, or at least at least an audio form? Because most of our friends here at Aaron's Opinion are blind, and they would really only be able to hear your story if they could listen to it. So how can somebody get an audio copy of your book?
Okay, so I do want to start with saying that my book is on Amazon. So they can, okay, so people with low vision can get the book with large print. That's
Mm-hmm.
one. People that are blind or maybe read Braille, they can use the Kindle app to access the book.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Third, I am working with Sight into Sound. It's a recording studio here in Houston that serve blind people. I am partnering up with them to make my book available in audio. But this is still in production. Um, but I'm still not sure how I would make the book available on Audible yet. I have to work on that. Um, I am also working on getting my book on either Bard or um, Bookshare. So I would say stay tuned to my website to find out the updates.
Excellent. You said something that sparked something in my heart as a podcaster, man. You said that you're working with a company called Sight into Sound.
Correct. They're
That
a
sounds
nonprofit.
this
They're,
sounds like a company that I need to learn more of. This strikes me as a company I need to know about. Talk about it. Give them a plug.
yes. So it's a nonprofit here in Houston. They started back as keeping for the blind.
Hmm.
And then through time, grew and they changed their name to Sight into Sound. I was fortunate back in 2012 after coming back from Austin from rehab training to volunteer there for a couple of months. And they have a service for reading the newspaper in audio for you. And you'll be able to listen to it on a frequency on the radio. And it's really, really, that's basically what sparked my interest back in the day with audio, with books on tape, or books that are available for blind people. But it's amazing because after all these years, I came back to them, asking them to narrate my book, and I'm hoping this would expand my audience and get my word and my book out even further. And I'm so thankful for Sight into Sound and the manager, Jim Martinez. He's the one who, sat down with me and understood what my book is about. And, here soon I'm going to have it in audio. So, I'm very excited. And I hope everyone would benefit from having it in this format too.
Do you think this Sight into Sound company, do you think they do audio production? Do you think they work with podcasters?
Um, Maybe one-on-one, but not in a large capacity.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay. Good.
So
Good.
yeah,
It sounds like maybe later today, maybe I can get more information. Maybe you can give me
mhm.
some contact or more information because I would love to
Of
have them on
course.
the show.
Yeah,
That's an
I would.
excellent for a variety of reasons. There's
Right,
a couple different reasons why, but I'm always searching for appropriate organizations who are helping blind people to produce
right.
audio, and that's totally in my wheelhouse. So definitely
Oh
send it.
yeah,
Yeah, it's so good.
and
Hmm.
that's why I did turn to them because I knew they were for blind people and they're helping blind people thrives. That's why I said, that's my source. This is where I'm going to get support. And it's a really great resource
Mm-hmm.
because they will record the book for you, and then you know the other part would be marketing the audiobook. But
Yeah.
it's that would be this is still in progress, but
Mm-hmm.
it's a really good first step into this.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, and I think the marketing part is a lot easier than it ever was with Instagram,
Correct,
just like
correct,
tagging the right persons, tag them up, and then it just gets, then the post just
right.
simply gets marketed outwards. That's okay. Well, really fun. So how did you structure your book, by the way?
So my book is structured so it's 5 chapters. There's 10 chapters, and each chapter is divided into 3 sections.
Mm-hmm.
And I was very, very, very fortunate to find this writer. Her name is Heidi Tran. She is a Estonian as well. She's blind. Heidi is also our secretary in our Bay Area chapter for the Bay Area chapter here in Houston for the NFB, the National Federation of the Blind.
Mm-hmm.
So Heidi is a writer, and I want to say this to all your audience, to my audience as well. I first turned to a publisher thinking they would know who they're working with. Yes, I'm blind. Yes, I do things non-visually, but they knew nothing about that. They just used AI to format, what I provided to them, and that was a total disaster.
Okay.
Let me explain.
Sure.
Um, your story, your authentic story, is 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 basically fake when you use AI. So as I said before, I was so fortunate to find Heidi Tran, my writer, to format my book in where a blind person can understand the struggles and the non-visual aspect of what blind people go through. So I was very happy to have that voice, to have that assistance, to make my book, just authentic, just the way I wanted. Um, so, again, these days we need to watch for authentic material. Because if you use AI, it's not. And my book is all, the real life of Tamer Zaid. And my writer Heidi is the one who made it possible to put my words down and share it with, all of us. But going from here, I think it's a battle that we need to all fight for, to have original content produced. Because AI is doing the work for us, and we don't want that. So that's my message with that.
Yeah. Yeah. We want to make sure that instead of using AI, we use TI, Tamer Intelligence, to write a book. Right.
Correct.
Right. And
Correct.
that's,
Yeah.
and I think that's very, I think you're definitely on the right track there, man. That these,
Mhm.
these AI programs, sure, they're useful, sure, they're good, but
Mhm.
the reality of it is that
Mhm.
AI has its limits.
Correct. Correct. Yeah.
It does need to be used. It can be
Mhm.
very good. I think AI has a great role in marketing and understanding analytics of things. I think
Correct.
that's a very useful and a
Mhm.
very suitable use for AI. But as far as producing what somebody wants to say, well, no, we need to do that ourselves
Correct.
because your
Correct.
story is your story for that
Exactly.
reason.
And
Yeah.
AI is a tool, so it's a tool in the toolbox, but it shouldn't be used totally to do all your work.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Um, you know, I mean, I can give examples, but it's not good to give examples right now. But I'm just saying it's a good tool. It's a good tool in the toolbox, but not doing all your work.
Mm-hmm. Right. Exactly. Yeah.
Yep.
Very interesting. Very,
It
very
is.
interesting.
You
And
know.
so about how long is your book, by the way?
So my book is 122 pages,
Okay,
and
good.
so it does vary if it's large print. I mean, if it's the hard book, the hardcover, or the paperback, or um, the version on Amazon Kindle.
Mm-hmm.
So it's from 116 to 122.
Mm-hmm.
But as I said, I made it accessible where each chapter would have 3 sections, and you're able to use the Kindle app to accessibly, um, access the book that way.
Right. Right.
Mm-hmm.
That's really cool. That's really,
It is.
really cool. Yeah.
Mm.
Okay, good. Good.
Yeah.
So yeah, so when do you think this book will come out?
Well, it's out already.
Oh, very good. It's already
Yeah.
available for
It's
people.
already available. It's been available since November 20th.
Okay. Well, good.
Um,
Mm-hmm.
and while I was at the Louisiana Center for the Blind for 9 months, I worked with Heidi every day to
Mm-hmm.
put my words down, to produce, my original content.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm telling you, it was a really, really humbling time working with her to make my work shine.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and as I said from the beginning of the podcast, my book is targeted toward blind people, but in the same time, it's targeted to all disabilities. Um, when you read my book, you will understand why. Um, you know, I thought that my blindness was the issue throughout my life, but after going to the Louisiana Center for the Blind, that's when I realized that blindness was not my issue. Blindness was just a it's just a characteristic of myself. What I struggled with was my memory, was my um, the slow processing. And I learned that with alternative techniques, with giving grace to myself, giving myself time to do things, I would live the life I want. Um, and I learned that doing so, I would have a fulfilling life. When you read my book, there was a chapter where I talk about working for Apple.
I remember this part. I remember years ago. I just had to interject there. I remember when you came the first time, we talked a lot about that. I do vaguely remember that. Indeed. Yes.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
So in that chapter, I speak about the issues they had in the workplace. But I want to tell you, and I want to stress, in my book, I also mentioned that part of my issue was also my brain injury, my slow processing. And because the slow processing is invisible, I did not see it. They probably saw that in me, but they never told me anything, and that got me in trouble. So in a way, my book talks about, you know, the struggles I went through dealing with, the sour apple. But in another sense, I talk about what could have been done instead. Um, but in the end, it's really about giving myself grace, giving myself time, and take it step by step. Um, and that's what got me really thinking about, um, writing a book, sharing my story that I went through, so that people in silence, people that do not have a voice to get up and do something about this. I wanted to provide those that have no action to get up and say, I can do this. I'm capable. I wanted my book to be a source where, it's just, it's like a thinking cap that comes to your mind and you say, yes, I can do this. Step one, step two, step three, accomplished. And that's basically what I've been working on. Writing my notes in Braille, using my technology in the right way, traveling with my long white cane, with confidence. So all these things I learned at LCB, I spoke about them vaguely, but I want to say that I'm coming up with another book that would highlight everything that I've learned at LCB and how all these skills gave me the ability to have the confidence, have the assurance that I can do all the things that I plan to do, and be a person that do not look outward, but look at myself. That was my struggle for the longest time ever. I always said that I could do this, but I couldn't. I was lying to myself. I was faking myself. And that's what also got me in trouble, in the employment field. But now I can tell you that I'm different. I'm different in a way that I can think for myself. I can do things on my own. And I feel as if my story is, quote unquote, the weapon to make other, people with disabilities get up and get inspired. That's basically my message.
And I agree. I completely agree with it. It's so good. And I think in these days, in these challenging times, I think
Right, right.
everybody should be reading your book, whether they
Mm-hmm.
have a disability or not, because everybody can learn from you. And I think that's what's
Exactly.
very applicable and very tangible to me is that you're
Mm-hmm.
obviously someone who, it's overly obvious to me that you've overcome a lot and a lot of bad stuff has happened to you.
Correct.
But the good news is you're willing to teach people how to overcome things and be a
Mm-hmm.
voice. And that's what we need.
Correct.
That's,
Correct.
that's what we need. So we need, quite frankly, we need your voice to
Exactly.
provide a sense of peace and a sense of happiness for people who deserve it. And there's a lot of people in our society now who are blind or sighted or a lot of people will need to learn from you. And that's what is
Mm-hmm.
overwhelmingly obvious to me is this whole concept. We'll come back to this in a moment or so. But I do recall that you also are now working on YouTube, right? You have this thing, Tamer the Hammer. You have this
Correct.
this new fun marketing thing, right? Tamer the Hammer. What's that
Exactly.
about?
Yes.
Yeah.
So Tamer the Hammer. I speak about a friend that I met in college, Mark Sedgwick. Mark was a mentor. So basically, I attended University of Houston Clear Lake back in 2019. And Mark was also a student there that I met in the hallway. And Mark has that white heart. He's sighted, by the way. He's a coach right now at a elementary school. And Mark has that that sense of kindness, that sense of um, empathy. And I just want to say, during my time at the university, I feel as if I was also under stress, mental health. But it was the beginning of that journey. And, we, he just understood my, my situation, my struggles, and he wanted me to share my story. And that's when everything begins. At the patio outside of the student center at the university, and we just sat down. We spoke about different topics about blindness, about my struggles as a blind person, about um, why I was having those issues, and I shared it with all my fans. And one day I said, how about we start collecting my articles that I've been collecting for so many years? And Mark is the one who helped me start that journey, collecting all those valuable documents, and make sense of putting them in a chronological order so it would make sense. Then that's when I began searching for somebody that can put my story out. A publisher. So in a way, Mark Sedgwick is the one who helped me start this journey. But what I want to say is, because he understands my struggles, he was a really, really helpful at guiding me throughout my dark days. And eventually, I found the right people to get me to the other side. Whether it's therapy, dealing with um, stress, or finding a trailblazer such as Norma Crosby, the president of the Texas affiliate for the NFB, or then going to LCB, the Louisiana Center for the Blind, which is also part of the NFB, and meeting Pam Allen. Pam is the one who told me, if you believe in the process, You can do anything you want. And I went through my training for 9 months. And I want to tell you that I gained all the confidence, all the skills, all, overcoming all those uncertainties and getting me to this point. I want to tell you it's a ending problem, but I am, I'm able to think through things and plan and organize. And in the way, I'm flourishing. I'm happy at what I'm doing. And that's all because I gained the confidence. Now I have faith in myself. Before I was not. I always, second guessed myself. I always told myself I cannot do this, or told myself, no, I don't want to do this because I did not have the confidence. But now I do. I have a purpose. And, thank you for the National Federation of the Blind for believing in me and making me the person I want to be. That's it.
There you go. Absolutely. Well, that's really wonderful. These sound like definitely great people. We'll have to maybe reach out to them in the future and see if any of. We'll talk later, but I would like to know if you know anybody else. Certainly, I know that if you know anybody who will benefit from also sharing their story with us here on Aaron's Opinion, you can definitely in the future help me
Of
to
course. Of course.
put me in touch with some of these people because they sound like they really influenced you in a positive way. That's one thing that I'll
Correct.
say is that as my gift to you is that we're helping you to share your story with the world, but also we're trying to create a positive product and a positive
Correct.
image and an accurate image. And I think that's something that's you're very genuine. And that's something that's really impactful to people. Yeah.
Correct. Correct.
So good. So I think you're also getting into YouTube, right?
I am, yes. You can follow me at Tamer the Hammer on YouTube, and you can access all my videos that I've produced going through the process of making my book.
Mm.
Right now, I'm actually going through all the videos to recreate them in a way that they are shorter and on point. So there'll be 2-minute videos that would have a purpose. And those videos would, detail me, but in a way it would have a positive outlook on my message. So right now, I believe I have one video available, which is my last video talking about the release of the book and where they can get the book. But soon I would have all 17 videos reproduced in a shorter format where everyone can access and get something out of it. And also I'm going to be also working on new ones that would talk about the pro book release. But that is still in the works, and I would just encourage everyone to follow me on Tamer the Hammer on YouTube, and share your feedback. That's how I would grow. That's how I would learn how to develop my products or, my videos. And if you have any ideas of what else to produce, please share that as well.
Right. Well, that's really good. So
Of course.
basically you're using YouTube as a platform for creating shorts
Mm-hmm.
so that people can actually
Correct.
see Yeah, that's really good. I don't utilize the shorts feature, but because I'm more interested in the long form, the nitty gritty, all the detail, in a long form
Hmm.
conversation, which is good. But also shorts can be very powerful, and they are, because they
Hmm.
produce something very quickly that gives people a good idea of
Correct.
really what's going on in a very direct way. And I think that's also, if people learn a lot from the shorts, I think that's a very good thing to do. Yeah,
Correct.
definitely. Hmm.
And
Absolutely.
I do want to mention that now, I did not mention that to you, Aaron, but here yesterday, I actually released my website,
Hmm.
tamerzaid.com. And
Excellent.
you can purchase the book on there for in all formats. You can also follow me on Facebook, my Facebook page, Tamer Zaid, or on Instagram, Tamer underscore the underscore hammer, or on YouTube, Tamer the Hammer. And I also want to, work on those videos so I can also post those on the website. So ultimately, my website would be, the number one place where you can find everything. But for now, you can also, you can access the site also, and also, follow me on all those social media sites.
Absolutely. That's really good. That's really good. The other thing that's fascinating is, so how did you come to build your website? How does that work? A lot of blind people want to do that.
Okay, so that's another venture I'm working on. Um, it's I so I was able to have some friends that turn to sites such as um, Fiverr. So it's Fiverr is a site for um, like small projects, for finding people that can help you with certain tasks. And I found a person that can help me with the website creation. Um, and in the way I was able to also encourage them to use, accessible aspects so that my site would be accessible, to all, labeled buttons, landmarks, you name it. So if you visit my site, you're able to find everything that you need, and also um, follow me on social media. But again, um, this is another area we need more, um, more, more, I guess, people with disabilities to come on, to share everyone. Um, because it's difficult to work with somebody that would not understand what your purpose is. Uh, when you have a disability. But again, if you communicate effectively, if you have your idea on paper, for me it's in Braille. You'll be able to communicate effectively and share with the creator what you want to do, so that your vision would come, um, and, become realistic, and your goal would be achievable. So, most of my work is done by me, but I do use, a service such as Fiverr to enhance my abilities, or quote unquote my business. Um, and social media is part of it. Um, um, YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, and that's how you get your word out. But again, that's not the only way. You need to, word of mouth is the biggest one. You need to keep, um, putting the word out and telling everyone about what you're doing, why you're doing it, and how you're impacting the community in large.
Yeah, absolutely. You brought up a really important point that not only do people need to be receptive and willing to work with us blind people and people with disabilities, but you brought up another important element too, which is
Mm-hmm.
that if someone doesn't really understand disability,
Mm-hmm.
that really is a very pervasive problem. And I'm not going to say that people misunderstand all the time intentionally. In fact, I think some of the biggest misunderstandings, when you really intellectualize it and really think about it, some of the
Mm-hmm.
biggest misunderstandings are actually unintentional ones. That's why they're big
Correct.
misunderstandings.
Correct. Mm-hmm.
But the
Yeah.
the biggest problem that I've seen is that there's a lot of people not well, let me rewind myself. There are some people who say, "Oh, I can work with blind people. I know blind people," and then they really don't. And that is to me A, offensive to my sensibility as it is yours, I'm sure, and B, it's also a problem. So at best, when someone doesn't fully understand, the problem is that it really prevents us, at best, it prevents us from getting where we need to go. And at most, it would actually prevent us from going anywhere else. So
Correct.
this is a big, huge problem, which is why you're right. Your story will be shared with the world and deserves to be shared. But the importance here is that it's about building the rapport with my audience, with the
Mm-hmm.
people who've already come to Aaron's Opinion, with our communities that we've built
Correct.
around Aaron's Opinion. It's about rapport too, is what it is.
Exactly. Exactly.
Right.
I
Hmm.
want to add one more point.
Please.
So when I was working with this creator, I had, or I, well, not had, but I was basically the person that was telling them how to do things. I was basically the person that um, pointed things to them on how they can effectively create what I wanted to create, and in the same time be accessible to my viewers, to my fans. Like for example, I promoted my book signing events that I had on all those social media, platforms. But I explained to them how to use alt text so that, my blind friends can understand if there's pictures and what those pictures are showing. Um, and it was like a light turning on for her, if that makes sense.
It
Um,
does.
mhm. We as blind people, as people with disabilities, we need to be in the driver's seat. We need to be people that would be in control and, give the word out. We don't need to be in the passenger seat and be controlled. Uh, you know, that's one big thing that uh, I've been working on and I'm still working on. Um, but we need more respect. But by having confidence, you're able to know how to communicate effectively.
Yeah. And you made a subtle point that I want to kind of go off of. You said that we need more respect. Well, yes, we do,
Hmm.
but it's not that we need more respect. And in a sense, it is. I get the point. The other thing is, like I say, well, like I've noticed, it's about building rapport, right?
Correct.
Obviously,
Correct.
I have rapport with you because
Hmm.
you took the time to remember this show and to remember that you wanted to come back. So
Correct.
that's
Correct.
how rapport works. So the funny
Exactly.
thing is when you surround yourself with the right people, when you surround yourself with the right rapport, then
Hmm.
the respect thing kind of just clicks into place underneath that because when people have rapport with you, when they want to be around you, you only attract the right people. And The other funny thing, the other ironic thing is a lot of people would wonder, well, what about the people who disagree with you? And what about the bad people who are malicious or want to be hurtful? And what I say to that notion is, well, I'm not really concerned at all because those people just know that they don't belong within your community. And then those people don't really worry about you just as much as you don't worry about them. So if you just focus on aggressively building rapport the right way, if you do it the right way, then you get the right people.
Correct.
But that's very tricky to figure out who are the right people. Who do you really need in your circle? That's
Yeah, no,
it's a big problem. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
exactly. It takes time to know people, to understand people, and know they're behind what you're for,
Mm-hmm.
uh, what you want to accomplish. Um, um, so, it's a constant struggle, but, you need to keep, fighting. You need to keep going forward. And, and that's how you build the army. Um, but first you have to know what you're standing for, why you have a purpose, and what your purpose is, so that you can influence others to follow you.
Right. Right.
Mm.
Exactly right. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah. You're so right. So with your, with your YouTube and with your book, just so far,
Mm.
what parts of the world are tuning into your YouTube? Where have you started to notice who your audience is around the world?
The funny thing is, I thought it would be the blind community, but it's part of it. But the overwhelming um, audience came from the Middle East.
Right. Well, that makes sense.
It does, and I was very surprised.
Well,
Uh,
maybe they knew who you were then, or maybe they
mhm.
perhaps searched for content written by,
Correct.
yeah. So
Mhm.
specifically, like what countries within the Middle East are tuning into your channel?
Um, I mean, basically, my country, Palestine.
Hmm.
The most of my readers, or the ones who, I mean, they mostly live in the U.S., but these are the ones who, um, you know, the most who got the book. Um, and there's probably a reason, is because my book is is under Middle Eastern, um, books, or Middle Eastern publications.
Huh.
That's probably why.
I mean, I didn't really know that was a thing. Like, how can, like, in what's like, I thought it was
So
just
if
like,
you,
how does that work? Like, what do you mean? Yeah.
yeah, so if you go to Kindle, or if you go to Amazon, they have different categories for, book titles. Um, and one of them is Middle Eastern books. Um, and my book is one of them under there.
Hmm.
Yep,
Interesting.
it is.
Okay.
Yeah, I was
I
surprised too.
didn't know they did like regional. I just thought books were books. I mean, I didn't think they would have cared to set up a regional concept. That's oddly, and that's kind of interesting. Yeah. Because see,
Mhm.
podcasting doesn't quite work like that. I mean, I see what countries
Correct.
tune in, but it's more of a general scope of, well, where's the download? What part of the world is giving it a pull,
Correct. Correct.
that's what it's mostly about with the art of podcasting. But yes, I
Hmm.
mean, you can see what countries tune into you.
Right.
But unless the other interesting factor is, unless somebody pushes download on this episode, then their country won't get
Hmm.
pulled into the chart. So that's a tricky thing. Playing podcast
Hmm.
episodes helps because it gives it a play, but the download is what promotes it. So yeah,
Correct. Correct.
absolutely. Well, that
Hmm.
is deeply fascinating. What other,
Correct.
so in the Middle East category, like what other books have you seen in there? Have you ever found other blind people who have had similar experiences to you?
So there are more books, um, you know, under the Middle Eastern, books, but I believe that they speak about Middle Eastern and disability, um, but I did not venture to see what those books are. I should know what my competitors are, but I haven't gotten the chance to delve into that.
Hmm. Right?
Um, so I need to make more time to discover that and see how I can learn from learning who's against me and how I can improve myself as a writer, as a Middle Eastern author. Um, and I'm hoping that that would make me more noticeable as an author coming from that region and get more people to get the book. So um, I guess I would say this is in progress, or it's something that
Hmm.
um, I have a plan for that I haven't started on yet, but it's in progress.
Yeah, yeah. Maybe another idea that just popped up in my mind was maybe you could record. I know that it would be, I respect the fact that it would be a little uh arduous, a little bit intimidating for you to record the entirety of your book on audio for people to listen, but maybe you could, work towards doing little short podcast episodes of your own
Mm-hmm.
where you kind of read sections of your book for people or you kind of talk
Correct.
about sections.
Mhm.
I think there's something you could do in that. Now,
Yes. Yes.
ordinarily, I would say that I love it when authors read their book. I'm
Mhm.
respectful and cognizant of the fact that for
Correct.
you, I'm just going to level with you. I don't think that's something that would be a reasonable goal given, again, I know you don't take it personally, given
Mhm.
your, health situation, given your situation, I don't think that's a necessary goal for you. But I do think it would be very interesting if you could read
Mhm.
parts of your book as like little mini podcast
Yes.
episodes that you could just release for yourself. It's like you could say, hey, you guys should listen, you guys should go buy my book. But if you don't know why you should, here's chapter 6 about blah, blah, blah. And then you would read like a
Mhm.
paragraph from it and talk about it and sort of do a little
Right.
mini series. You could do a lot with that actually. Yeah.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
That's a great idea. I mean, that's how you can get fans to tune in and get you excited to grab a copy. Yeah, of course.
Mm-hmm.
That's a brilliant idea, actually. Um,
Yeah.
Thank you so much for that.
If you go about it though, you have to kind of strategize how you would do it. You would say something like, okay, you would say something like, this is Tamer. Today, I want to introduce my book to you by telling you about a part of the book where I talked about blah, blah, blah. Here's a
Hmm.
couple sentences. Here's a couple paragraphs, a couple lines of it. And then you would say, so this part of the book is meaningful to me because, and then you
Right.
would say, and so if it's meaningful to you, go buy the book.
Correct.
Okay, there's the idea. Go fly with that. There's the idea. Yeah,
Right. Right.
definitely. Um,
Yeah. Thank you so much for that.
ordinarily, generally,
Hmm.
most authors never read their own book. And that actually upsets me because I think, well, I'm not going to name drop, but there were several authors who I read in the past who wrote, books about horror or fantasy
Hmm.
or science fiction. And, when I would hear it in Audible or when I would listen to it in
Hmm.
the audio form read by an actor, I always thought, that actor did a good job, but I kind of want to hear the author's voice talking about that thing that they wrote. Like, what does it sound like in their mind? You know,
Right,
I'm
right.
always boggled by that. The reasoning is that most authors have the humility to realize, as you do, being humble is important, as you
Mhm.
well know. Most authors have the humility to realize that they're authors, not actors. So they want to hire an actor to
Mhm.
portray the author. But
Correct.
sometimes what they'll do in many great audiobooks is the author will read the prologue or the the prologue or the epilogue. Now that is something that you could and should try to do at some point. Work towards recording a prologue or a prologue statement or an epilogue statement that could go along with the audio for that book. That is can be a very useful thing. Yeah,
Right,
when it's
right.
done. Yeah. Hmm.
Awesome.
Yeah,
Yeah, thank
that's
you for
super
that.
cool. Are you in
Mhm.
like a lot of like author groups on Facebook or WhatsApp where how much collaboration are you doing with other authors around the world? Just networking and
I
talking. Yeah.
I know a couple. That's where I got most of my ideas of sharing my book, whether it's social media, whether
Mm-hmm.
having a book signing event,
Mm-hmm.
whether it's um, by word of mouth. Um, um, but I still need to do more. I need to, um, when I started this idea, I did not really think about um, what comes ahead.
Mm-hmm.
I just started, reviewing my materials, then looking for somebody. Then from there, it's just step by step, and I was able to come up with something.
Mm-hmm.
But it's not really I interacted with much authors. I mean, again, like I knew several that I spoke to, but um, I just wanted to do my own.
Mm-hmm.
I just wanted to, um, use my own skills to
Mm-hmm.
share the word out. And now I am trying to expand. Looking for other resources to share the book. Um, but I'm taking it slowly. I'm not rushing. I'm not. Um, but again, like going back to those friends I have, um, they tell me to look for you know libraries that can have you can have events at, or Barnes and Nobles, or um, but there's some issues that you know that I would have, and it would just escape my mind.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but I'm trying to develop a way where I can um, say, I want to do this or do that, and how it would impact my work, how it would make me a more profitable author.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but you know, again, the way I'm doing it is just step by step. I am not rushing. I'm not, I'm not trying to say, that I'm selling my books, like crazy. I'm just taking it slowly so that I would, find out what is happening on the way. Um, I hope that makes sense.
It does. It does. Yeah, I
And the
also. Mhm.
reason I'm doing it this way is because I don't want to rush, and if you rush, you make mistakes.
Right.
And that's the reason why I'm doing it that way.
Yeah. No, no, no. Definitely don't rush it. There's in this day and age, there's never a reason to rush. So definitely don't rush it. Yeah. Yeah. That's really fascinating. I would say Zoom could be also used too. You can
Mhm.
host a Zoom event and get people to come and
Correct.
sort of do like a meet and greet
Well,
on Zoom that way too.
I did that with my first book signing event. Well, it was actually a meet and greet that we did on Zoom.
Hmm.
That was in the beginning when I released the book. But at the time, I did not have much readers that had the book so that they
Hmm.
can comment.
Hmm.
Um, but it was a really good way to inform, the audience that my book is out. Um, grab a copy and, once you read the book, leave a review and let me know what needs to be done, what I did good with, and how the book did influence you.
Hmm.
Uh,
Right.
and that's actually what I've done in my book signing events. Um,
Mm.
so, just having a session where everyone would, speak out and, let me know, what part they were interested in, and how it did influence them.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's really good. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
There's all sorts of little creative things you can do. You can
Mhm.
say, you can like raffle off one book. You can like have a
I
paperback
did
book.
that.
Yeah, you
I
can
did that.
raffle off one of them. There's all sorts of little there's all sorts of little tricks that can be done
Correct. Correct.
to encourage people in the
And
right way. Yeah.
when I raffled the book during that day, I had so many people who tuned in and they were able to get the book. So
Hmm.
in a way, it's really good because you first of all you enhance the book sale, and then second of all those people would share that news with other people, and
Right.
you get more sales.
Yeah, yeah,
So
you'd be surprised how quickly traction when you get traction, it's there. If it's not there, it's not there. But
correct.
when it is there, it's there. Yeah, yeah.
Exactly,
Hmm.
exactly. Uh,
Absolutely.
um, and it's the one thing that I want to say is, I need to keep going after this because um, I know that again my story would be the way to inspire others. Um, um, I know there's the book sales. I know there's the social media and all that, but in the end, what I want to get um, is my story, um, and why I wrote this book.
Right. Right. Absolutely. Absolutely.
Mhm. Yep.
So yeah, so I mean, if someone really comes up to you and they say, so I mean, if someone says, Tamer, I understand that you've been through a lot, you've overcome a lot, you're doing really good now, and you definitely are. But if someone says, I sort of understand why you wrote the book, but if someone says, why did you really, really write the book? What's your, true spiritual reason for why you wrote the book? What possessed you truly, to write the book? How would you respond to that question?
Okay, that's a really good question. The way I would respond to that is, um, my life was built upon struggle after struggle. And yes, I had those struggles, but as a kid, as a teenager growing up, as a young adult going through college, as a professional working in the field, as an author now, I would say it's is having a purpose.
Right.
I never had a purpose. I never had the ability to say why I'm here on this earth. Why, why, why do I exist on this earth? And I had those ideas so many times in my head, um, and I always come back to feeling um, down or feeling uh, incompetent or feeling as if I not confident or I'm not skillful or I don't have faith. And that's all goes back to building your skills, building your image, building your self-image so other people can respect you. Again, I'm coming to respect because if you don't have confidence, if you don't have the ability to make people around you feel as if you can do certain things, they would not respect you. They would not. They would look down on you, and you would never grow as a person. And that's basically what I struggled with, my identity. Um, when you don't have the ability to say, I believe in this, or I'm confident because I can do this, you're always down, you're always stressed, you're always, um, you think that you don't have worth. Um, but I can tell you that my siblings, my parents, the NFB are the ones who gave me the ability to think that I am here for a reason, that I am worthful. I don't know if that's the word, but that I can do all these things and I can contribute to the community. That's why that's my purpose.
And I understand you.
I am a storyteller,
Right.
and I think my story again would um, be a great reminder to everyone.
Yeah. Perfect
Mm-hmm.
response. Yeah. You wrote your book because you know that you matter and you want to help other people to realize that they're worth it and that they matter. And
Again,
that's,
I want to
yeah.
say my book is for people that have no voice, people
Right.
that are not respected, people that have faced discrimination,
Mm-hmm.
people who have struggled knowing who they are, people that are unskillful, people, and again, it's all people. It's not only blind people. It's not only people with a brain injury. It's not only people that maybe um, face other disabilities. It's everyone. We need to be. We need to have. We need to have a voice in this world, and because we can't think, they think that we are not valuable. So again, it's all about developing your skills and becoming somebody that is worthful. And I just say there's many wrong things in this world, but it's all about being, give space to people, have grace, um, help people that need help. Um, just have that compassion, have that sense of belonging. Everyone needs that. Um, having kindness where you can, feel for people. Um, for the longest time ever, I never had those feelings, but now I do. I'm able to um, sympathize with people. Um, but growing up, I had issues with those. That's why I wasn't accepted in the community. It's because I did not have faith. I did not have confidence. I did not have the ability to uh, do things for myself.
Yeah, I totally understand. I totally agree with you. I totally get it. Yeah,
You know.
that's a perfect reason, and that's a perfect response to that. So
Mhm.
I think we had a wonderful conversation today. We have
We
about,
did. Thank you so
another,
much, Aaron.
yeah, you did a really magnificent job. But of course, before we get going completely to kind of
Mhm.
wind down, we have another, maybe we'll do this for another 10, 15 minutes, something like that. But
Okay.
to kind of help us to wind down a beautiful conversation, you've spoken for a lot longer than you thought you have, and you've done much better than you ever realized you did. But I will say this, I will say, so what are some questions now that you've been on the podcast twice, now that you're a proud, successful repeat offender here at Aaron's Opinion? What are some questions that you still have for me and you still want to ask me?
Aaron, I just want to tell you that having your platform, having a voice such as yours, um, it brings hope. And what I mean by that is you connect people. You are able to effectively communicate with professionals to bring solutions to the disabled community. Um, by doing so, you're able to influence, you're able to recommend, you're able to um, be a light for everyone, which I really admire. And I would say to everyone listening to this podcast, which is super important, um, that's how you become um, influenced by what they hear, by what subject you bring to the podcast, so that your listeners can learn from what was talking about and apply that to their lives. Um, I would say this podcast is fantastic doing so. Um, it's like a cause and effect. If you have this problem, you're able to, um, work on it and find a solution. And you do that by listening to Aaron's opinion.
Wow.
Um,
That's really, that's really sweet and really cool. I've never really thought of it that way either. So that's really beautiful. I really, that's so sweet. And
mhm.
thank you.
Of
That's
course,
amazing.
of course.
But the way that you explained that was really like it never occurred to me that that's what it was. For me, it's
Mhm.
just the art form of coming together to have conversation. But you're right.
Correct,
It
correct.
does, it does help people to engineer solutions to problems. Absolutely, it
Exactly.
does.
It's that collective work that you do so that you can bring everyone together.
You're absolutely right. You're
Hmm.
absolutely right. I think that's a perfect way to end this episode of bringing people together to learn about you again,
Right.
to learn about your book.
Hmm.
Again, I will say, I'll say it here and I'll tell you privately a little later, but so when I do put this out, I'm going to make a point of setting up a playlist on YouTube. And what it's going to be is it's going to be this conversation, but then you'll also see the previous conversation we had a few years ago. So
Hmm.
definitely when you share the video, just please, as we say, share the playlist that I will give you because
Yes.
that'll give you that'll give the world this conversation and so we'll actually we're having one conversation now, but actually it will
Right.
equal two videos for people to learn about you. And I think that's going to be super fun and super cool to be able to look back at the history and say, okay, here was the first
Yeah.
time, here's what he was doing then, where we talked
Mhm.
about the stuff then, and now here's the now. And I think that's when done
Correct.
properly, like you did it today, man, I think that's really, really positive.
Well, it's the
Mhm.
path to success. You
Well,
begin
well,
somewhere.
you know
And
what, if you say so, I'll take your word for it. It's the answer is I don't know what the path is. The path is I just keep doing. Path is I just keep talking to people. I don't know where it's going. Who knows? If you've decided that, fine, go for it. Thank you.
yeah.
Don't, don't as one of our great friends over in England said in a very charming,
Mhm.
fancy, flourishy British way. Fine, as we used to say in old, fine. The check's in the post. If you
Yeah.
believe it, floats your boat. Go. If that works,
Correct.
if that's the you know what if that's the story that you believe, then I'm sticking to it. There you go.
Right, right.
He's Tamer
That's
Zaid.
awesome.
He's Tamer. Don't forget to buy his book and don't forget to connect with
Yeah,
him on all the socials
of
because
course.
he's a real special character here in the world for us to enjoy learning from. And the thing
Hmm.
that stands out to me really overall about you to close out today is you're just so you're so willing to educate people about really bad stuff that happened to you, but you
Hmm.
do it in a loving way. You do it in a
Correct, correct.
warm, strong, serious, but also just so like loving and so nurturing. You have a very like nurturing way
Right,
of approaching and digesting the seriousness of your life. And there's a ton to be learned from that.
right.
Seriously.
You
You
know,
know, yeah,
it's really about the having love, hope, and determination.
absolutely.
It's a message of the NFB, but it also relates to me. You need to have
There
that
you
in your
go.
life so that you will be stress free and you'll be somebody that everyone can look up to.
There you go. All right.
Mm.
All right, everybody. Click the link in the description for more information. You gave quite a description. We'll work on that in a minute. But yeah, click the link in the description.
Hmm.
And just thank you so much. You, of course, know that you're forever part of the Aaron's Opinion
Of
family
course.
and stuff like that. And I don't, if you can stay on the line for maybe another minute or so
Yeah.
after I stop this. But yeah, until then, though, Tamer, that was a fabulous conversation. Thank you so much, everybody. Check it out in the description. Buy that book
Thank
and
you.
overall subscribe to his channel and help him out because he's doing great stuff too. So until next
Yes.
time, help one person today.
Take care, guys.
You're very welcome. As we say, help one person today, help 1 million people tomorrow.